name is Jane Tierney. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Catalyst for Justice. We're a nonprofit in Florida, and our sole mission is to significantly reduce racial profiling in our communities. I'm here today in opposition to not one specific bill, but to the types of bills that have been proposed and are being discussed, the Arizona type bills. And despite these bills' specific written prohibition against racial profiling, we believe it is impossible to enforce these bills without engaging in racial profiling. I want to state that it has not been my experience to be racially profiled. I am motivated neither by my family's nor my personal immigration status. Every living member of my family was born in the United States. My first ancestor on my mother's side immigrated to America as one of the Jamestown settlers over 400 years ago. My opposition is also not motivated by my family's nor my racial, ethnic, or religious heritage. Essentially, I am from a family of white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and to my knowledge, my family have never been marginalized and experienced legal or societal bias because of our race, the color of our skin, our countries of origin, or our religious beliefs in this country. But I am adamantly opposed to any legislation or any activity that can increase racial bias in our country or that can lead to racial profiling. My opposition is because I am a citizen of the United States, and as an American, I believe in our principles of equal justice under the law for all people in this country. And we must all stand up to protect this principle if we are to remain America. Racial profiling is a practice that has been ruled illegal in this country under the 4th, the 5th, and under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which requires each state to require it to provide equal protection under the law to all people within its jurisdiction. Under our country's law, officers would need reasonable suspicion based on behavior to stop a person and request proof of their immigration status. It must be behaviorally based. Who here can define the behaviors that are exclusively tied to undocumented immigration status? Does the language you speak, the accent with which you speak English, correlate perfectly to your immigration status? Does the color of your skin, your body type, your hair type, does that flag you as undocumented? Is the way you dress or the car you drive more closely correlated to your economic or your immigration status? I would argue that we cannot look at a person and identify their status, and that these laws encourage that behavior. Academics in the United States and Canada who study the social psychology of racial bias have found that even in people who consciously do not hold biased or prejudiced positions in their minds or in their hearts, that all human beings are subject to implicit or unconscious bias. You may have read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink. It's the blink response, thinking without thinking, in which all human beings pick up these messages that are in our society. These proposed laws and the discussion we are having, they are reinforcing many of the negative biases that we already have in our blink response in our culture. I attended a meeting of the the Consortium for Police Leadership in Equity at John Jay College this past summer. One of the academic experts said the very tenor of the debate that we are having is reinforcing these unconscious biases. It is building suspicion of the other. So I believe we need to look at these laws and what we are proposing, not just in terms of the impact on law enforcement, but also on the impact on our communities. We are reinforcing these negative stereotypes. I attended the Martin County hearing held last week by Representative Snyder. Isabel, who spoke before me, alluded to one of the statements that was made after extended conversation that racial profiling was prohibited, that this was not to be a labeling of people. Terms such as defective human being were used. They were openly stated in the conversation, in the testimony, in referring to undocumented immigrants. Following the meeting, I was with an associate who, in professional business attire of Latino background, the woman approached him and started the conversation with, "I don't know if you're an illegal immigrant or not." How can we say that these bills and this conversation are not reinforcing this bias in our community? I would also like to point, as my last point, the Gallup Foundation and the Knight Foundation do a study every year. For the past 3 years, it's called The Soul of the Community. And they have identified 3 key drivers of community attachment. And community attachment is very important, their research shows, for the residents, the members of the community, their bond to that community. It's an indicator of what the economic success of that community will be, as well as the style of living and the content with which people live in the community. One of the 3 key drivers is openness. And openness is defined as a community's openness to people of different backgrounds, to minorities, to immigrants. I won't go through the entire list. But these factors are very closely tied to the success of our communities. Anything we do to increase bias undermines our society, and we run clearly the risk of going into constitutionally unsupportable ground if we promote racial profiling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tierney. We have
Chair.
Senator Orridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Let me give these hypotheticals. Let me ask you if you think this is right or wrong. As you use the law enforcement and police, they receive a call that there's a armed robbery committed by an Asian male driving a light-colored car, and that afternoon the police stopped 5 different light-colored cars containing an Asian male in them. Is that racial profiling to you?
Well, I think they would have to have more explicit detail. You cannot stop every Asian male driving a light-colored car. There would need to be a better description of the car. There would need to be.
So you would think it would be wrong to stop an Asian male driving a light-colored car?
I believe that would be held to be illegal to stop any Asian male driving a light-colored car because a report was made that an Asian male had.
Fair enough. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Done enough.
Thank you. Okay, Senator Sobel.
Thank you very much for that fine presentation. It's real interesting that the correlation between the health of a community depends on the openness. And I think we all are aware of the richness that can come from diversity. And we're real proud of that. That's what makes America so great, all the diverse people, especially in Florida. But the other factor I think I want to just follow up with you is that not only are people coming to this great state, but to work, but there's also a tremendous effect on tourism.
Absolutely.
And if people are afraid that they're going to be profiled here, they're not going to come to the state. They'll go to another state. We've seen that in Arizona. So that would definitely have a deleterious economic effect on this state.
Thank you for making that point. And it also will have a detrimental effect on the lives of anyone who doesn't fit the, quote, all-American profile as our society has it. The suspicion that if you are Latino or Hispanic